Within a manly dojo where men are doing manly things with sweaty, muscular bodies, there was a disturbance that stopped all the manly men in their tracks. The head of the dojo commented that his son was getting his ass kicked as usual, and whoever was doing the ass kicking was powerful enough to cause him to not step in. The son, Kevin, was being flung across the room, complaining that his rival wasn't pulling any punches. Just after he finished his sentence, he was slammed into the ground, knocking his soul out of him. It turned out that his opponent was a fierce girl with silver hair and blue tips, called Azure. Azure stood up and declared that this beatdown was because Kevin skipped school. However, Kevin questioned how Azure even knew that he was skipping school since they go to different schools. Bruised and beaten, Kevin told Azure that if she didn't stop being violent, no boy would dare make a move on her. Azure didn't respond but moved closer towards Kevin. With a teasing expression, she explained that she was teaching Kevin manners and she doesn't actually want any other guy near her. Unfortunately, she realized what she said and, like a classic tsundere, told him that she didn't like him either, so he shouldn't flirt, but he told her that he didn't mean to. It ended up being a back and forth between Azure and Kevin, with her being tsundere, him being oblivious, and the rest of the manly men watching on awkwardly. The next day at the dojo, Kevin began to show off to one of his friends a fox girl model that was only available through getting lucky with an ice cream stick lotto. Kevin proudly announced that a girl in his class had given it to him, and it seemed to attract Azure's attention. Kevin's friend admitted that he tried to win one but only got brain freeze for his efforts, and Kevin told him that the girl only gave him the toy because she wasn't interested in them and just wanted some ice cream. Azure asked what he had, and Kevin shoved the model in her face while exclaiming, "Fox lady." Azure didn't seem to be impressed by it, but didn't say it. Azure asked if Kevin really liked the toy, and he gleefully said that he did, commenting on its rarity. Then he asked her something dangerous. What should he do to thank the girl who gifted him this toy? Which stepped right onto Azure's nerves. Kevin was saved by the bell, and the sensei rang out that break was over. While Kevin kept showing off his new toy instead of fighting, Azure got more and more pissed, while her opponent asked if they were going to fight or not. As Kevin kept gushing about the figurine, his opponent noticed something odd, only for the pair to hear that Azure was lifting her opponent above her head. As he turned to look, Azure's practice partner was launched like a missile at him, and he struck home as Kevin was knocked down. Azure then angrily approached, causing Kevin's training partner to flee, and him to question why she's so furious. Azure exploded at Kevin, claiming that getting an ultra rare model is nothing, as she'll get him 100 by tomorrow, no issue. She then added that she wanted to know everything about this gift girl, which caused clueless Kevin to ask why. With the face filled with mixed emotions, she claimed that she wanted to question gift girl about flirting, before correcting herself, claiming falsely that she just wanted competition advice. However, Kevin wasn't really listening to her, as he was being smothered by her killing intent and drowning in her piercing blue eyes. During the Sunday lesson, the sensei announced that everyone was being treated to cold noodles, causing them to immediately celebrate. Azure and Kevin engaged in small talk about school, all the while two other students battled over noodles like feral animals. As the school talk continued, Azure warned Kevin that he's going to choke if he keeps eating and talking simultaneously. Meanwhile, the feral students were being kicked into behaving like humans instead of animals. As the foreshadowing became truth, Kevin exclaimed that he's choking, while Azure frustratingly told him that she told him so and he just can't live without her. Kevin ended up vomiting back up the water and food before telling Azure that he's fine and he's actually survived 2 minutes of choking before when he was younger. However, Azure had other things on her mind as she greedily eyed up the water bottle. While Kevin was still rambling, Azure was moving the water bottle closer to her lips, realizing that this was her chance for an indirect kiss. But she was stunned into stopping by Kevin yelling out, declaring that he wants his first kiss to be with a lover under fireworks, even if it's indirect or not. He then pleaded with her that if she really needs to drink from his water bottle, then at least don't touch it with her lips. Azure, being a helpless romantic, told Kevin that he better be a man of his word, and as he promised to do so, Azure launched the bottle into the stratosphere, with Sensei then yelling at her to quickly bring that bottle back, because littering is bad, okay? In the chiropractic class after, Kevin pondered Azure's words so hard that he didn't notice that his arm was broken. Meanwhile, Azure was distracted by Kevin's words, breaking a student's neck while also declaring that if Kevin wants to kiss anyone under fireworks, it better be her. Kevin arrived home and announced that it was his turn to clean the dojo, but found it empty. Deciding that everyone must be out doing warm-ups, he moved further into the dojo. However, a glare triggered his sixth sense, and when he turned to look, he saw Azure in the corner like Spider-Man, startling him and causing him to question her. Azure didn't say a word, but pointed to the floor. Kevin followed Azure's pointing and spotted the cause of her fear, a beetle. Being a brat, Kevin had a mischievous look on his face, and Azure began to panic until the worst happened. Kevin picked up the beetle and began to chase Azure, who fled for her life. Unfortunately for Kevin, part of the tatami was loose, and he caught his toes on it. Kevin accidentally launched the beetle, who began to fly towards Azure, freaking her out more. In her attempts to escape, Azure ended up performing a Sonic cosplay as she had to go fast. Azure then launched herself into Kevin's shirt and offered him a deal. The deal is, if he gets rid of the bug, she'll go easy on him. Kevin chuckled and admitted that he just wanted to tease her a little, and swatted the beetle away with ease. Unfortunately, everyone from the class had seen this performance, along with Azure now in Kevin's shirt. With this sight before them, the sensei announced that class was over and it's time to lock up and leave. The next day, everyone was lined up for class. Azure told Sensei that Kevin was missing, which Sensei explained that he knew and Kevin was busy with school stuff, or perhaps he was getting ready for Azure's love confession. Everyone in the class questioned why Sensei was messing with Azure, and the cloud of imminent doom was beginning to billow from her. Azure asked to be pardoned for the day, but Sensei told her she only can if she beats everyone in class. Azure then decided to lock the fuck in, and told everyone to come get her at once so she can finish this as soon as she physically can. The sensei, reveling in the challenge, ripped off his shirt and told everyone that full combat is allowed. 5 minutes later, everyone was defeated and Kevin arrived, questioning the scene in front of him. Azure explained that they were just overworked before asking why he was so late. Kevin, with no concern in his voice, explained that he just had to clean the classroom. Just before a lesson, the sensei announced that the students will be paired via strength and began to list the students off. Kevin was paired with his friend Jay and Azure was paired with Big Bob, but he seemed to be worried as Azure was in a foul mood. As everyone practiced, Jay and Kevin playfully fought, jokingly naming their moves. However, Jay began to tremble and asked if today was supposed to be a cold day. Suddenly, Jay was struck down, and as Kevin looked where the strike came from, he saw Azure glaring at him, with her opponent also struck down. Kevin realized that Azure was using her death glare to strike people down, and called out to his dad, the sensei. Excitedly, the sensei called out that he was waiting for this, to help train his mental strength. All the guys agreed with Sensei's opinion and charged Azure, all the while Kevin questioned what he did to start this. One by one, like charging a machine gun, everyone was mowed down by Azure's glare. Sensei bragged that he managed to block 2 of Azure's glares before he was struck down, which Azure praised him for. As she approached Kevin, his soul tried to flee him. Kevin begged for his life, but Azure told him that he should have thought of that when he decided to talk about girls' panties in class. Before he could ask how she knew that, he was silenced with an ass-kicking. Azure had a flashback, recalling how her mother said that she married her father because he was strong, before her father went upstairs to wrestle with her mother. Azure then decided to do the same, only marry a man stronger than her. However, as a young teen, she realized that it may be impossible. In the school's training field, Azure had snapped off the pull-up bar, causing everyone to banter about what she did, while Azure just questioned her true strength. Azure recalled the damage she did to a golf ball by just picking it up and questioned where her strength came from, as before the dojo she'd never trained before. As she pondered lowering her expectations, she saw Sensei walking back to the dojo. Azure asked where Sensei was coming from, and he told her that he went to the convenience store for some ice cream and was called a pervert by the judgy cashier. Sensei then asked how Azure's training of Kevin was going, and she let him in on how she'd made some progress and got him to be more obedient now. As the pair bickered about his mannerisms and where he got them from, they opened the dojo door to see a surprising sight. They saw Kevin in a fighting pose, drenched in sweat. Azure bragged that Kevin was warming up before training, and the good work ethic was a result of her training him. But she was about to get her pride shattered as Sensei told her to look at everything that was going on. Taking a better look at it, Azure saw that the boys were training like show dogs, and asked for permission to give the whole group the Old Yeller treatment, which Sensei coldly permitted. Leaving school, Azure overheard students commenting that it's the start of the rainy season, causing her to look up to see that it was indeed raining. Earlier that morning, Azure had gone to collect Kevin for school, only to learn that he'd already left and didn't even bring an umbrella with him. Azure thanked Sensei for the info before warning him to wear trousers when he enters the door next time. Knowing all this, Azure looked at her own umbrella and began to scheme. She realized she can finally achieve a legendary pull, the sharing an umbrella trope, and she salivated at the thought of it. She planned it all out in her mind and how it can become an intimate moment. With a mischievous look, she decided that she'll make her move, and if she wants to make it to Kevin's school on time, the usual way won't cut it. Azure used her sonic speed and took a shortcut through a construction site to make sure that she got there on time. As she spotted him, she noticed something off instantly. Kevin wasn't alone, but sharing an umbrella with a cute girl. Azure was distraught that her chance was cooked from her, and she stood there frozen in the rain. Kevin managed to get to training first, and when asked, he claimed that he could beat Azure in a cage match, not knowing that she was pulling a classic horror trope of the villain being revealed through lightning behind the protagonist. Everyone realized that doom was imminent, while Kevin just quipped that Azure might have forgotten her umbrella today. Finishing school, Kevin admitted out loud that he didn't want to go to the dojo today, and as if on cue, someone tapped on his shoulder asking if he was free today. It was revealed to be Ruby, the girl that gifted Kevin the fox girl, and she asked if today could be the day he treats her for giving him the figurine. He asked what she wanted, and she gave a simple answer. She wanted a parfait from the new sweet place. Walking down the street, Ruby talked to Kevin about his family's dojo, until she stood on a rock and stumbled into him. Ruby began to compliment Kevin's toned physique, claiming that girls must go wild for it, only to look up and see that it was Azure and not Kevin. Ruby looked up to see Kevin mangled and hanging from some wires, and questioned how he ended up in such a state, to which Azure told her that he'll be okay. Azure, not in a pleasant mood, asked bluntly what the relationship between her and Kevin was. Ruby just told Azure that they are classmates and nothing more, which Azure contemplated and then reiterated. Ruby then asked if Azure is Kevin's girlfriend, since she was acting this way towards her. Blushing, Azure had a tsundere monologue about how they aren't dating yet, and it's not like she likes him or anything, baka. Unfortunately for Azure, Ruby wasn't an ordinary girl, but a scheming one, who now considered Azure to be a hindrance to her plan, as Azure clearly had a massive crush on Kevin. Ruby seems like a cute and innocent girl, but her sus actions and reputation told a different tale. She seemed easygoing, making her easy to fall for, but she had a cruel heart that will leave you as fast as she loved you, and if your memes aren't up to par, you're done. Romance was a pastime for her, so now she was on the hunt for a new target, to pass the time. As she was looking for a new target, she met Kevin, who squealed after seeing that she had just won the Fox Girl toy that everyone was trying to get. As Kevin explained how rare the figure was, Ruby saw her chance and told him that she'd give him the stick if he went on a date with her, and being the simple man he is, he agreed. In the present, Kevin came to and questioned why Azure was here and not at the dojo, causing them to argue while Ruby was left there watching the bickering. She felt bad about coming between the pair, but she's a fan of NTR, and she wanted to ruin this wholesome mood. Ruby first decided to antagonize the situation and tell Azure that Kevin was supposed to take Ruby on a date, causing Azure to almost kill Kevin, but his skills had improved and he managed to dodge it. Kevin managed to grab Azure's wrist and explain that this was the girl that he had to repay for the model, and he promised to go out with her. Azure didn't say anything at first, before relenting, saying that a real man keeps his promise, so it's okay. This turn of events ended up stunning Ruby, who was expecting more drama than this. After that, the trio happily skipped off to the sweet shop, with Ruby confused as to why Azure was joining in on this date. Ruby sat with the pair and learned all about them being childhood friends and how they bicker like siblings rather than lovers, as neither had the dating experience. Ruby then decided to begin the game, saying that surely Azure has an army of guys after her, but Kevin shut down the idea, pissing her off. Ruby then played her next card and asked if Kevin was a fan of Azure, but he told her that he didn't like violence. Then she revealed her trap card. If a normal boy had to choose between Ruby and Azure, who would win? Kevin, without hesitation, said Ruby would win, crushing Azure. While Azure was down due to mental damage, Ruby rewarded Kevin. Ruby, wanting to nail home the damage, asked why she was better than Azure. Kevin, with ease, listed off her good qualities that he knew of and at least believed, ending that Azure could learn some feminine charm from Ruby. Deciding to put the final nail in the coffin, Ruby asked if Kevin would be willing to date her, and as usual, he didn't hesitate to answer. And his answer was a definite no. As Ruby struggled to process this information, oblivious Kevin didn't know what happened and asked if Ruby was okay. Ruby told Kevin that he's great at killing the mood and setting up a girl with compliments only to slam her down with a no that could really damage a girl. But luckily it was her, so it's okay, but to any outside observer, they could see that she was hurt. Kevin explained that the reason he said no is that he feels he's not ready to date due to his age, but Ruby didn't seem to agree and thought it was just a weak excuse. Kevin then listed off other reasons for not dating, mainly his lack of intellect, money troubles, and that he's shit at understanding girls. The other big thing was that he wanted a sign, something or someone that sets his heart off with love. Then Ruby looked at Azure and saw her smitten face as she looked at Kevin, and it only pissed her off more. Ruby then questioned real love and what a connection with someone who actually clicks with her would be like. As she thought this, Azure called Kevin tactless while she was chomping on a donut. As Ruby had a deep inflection on her love life, Kevin and Azure fought over the splitting of donuts. As Ruby looked at the sweet and playful Azure and Kevin, she realized that destroying what they have isn't what she wants. She decided to end this little game she was playing and let love find love and move on to another toy to play with. Ruby waited by the bus stop and realized that nothing went to plan, as she just casually parted ways with Kevin and gremlin-moaned Azure with no fight or issue. She realized that she's only getting a parfait for today and nothing more, but that will do. Unfortunately for Ruby, she was spotted by delinquents who had heard a rumor about her and decided to make a move. The delinquents told her they'd treat her nice, but it was the same old lie that's been told a million times, and they snapped fast, saying they heard she's an easy lay, so she should just say something. Beginning to manhandle her, they shook her and told her that playing hard to get isn't going to help her now. But luck was on her side as someone began to pummel the guy harassing her. The other delinquent made the smartest move ever and turned around and walked away, as it was revealed to be Azure who was helping Ruby. Ruby questioned why she was here, and Azure explained that she had something to say to Ruby. Ruby cut her off though, saying that Azure loved Kevin, right? Ruby tried to tell Azure that she didn't like Kevin in that way, but Azure cut her off, saying that she's never had a love rival and no one has ever liked Kevin apart from her. So Azure made her official declaration of challenge to Ruby for Kevin, and Ruby could only chuckle and think that Azure is a adorable idiot. Ruby claimed that Azure made her first mistake, and that was saving her, as it didn't help the cause one bit. With the pure heart, Azure explained that of course she had to save Ruby, as she was the only other girl who liked the same guy as her. Ruby couldn't help but think that Azure was cool, and only after a short while, Ruby confessed to Azure that she didn't have feelings for Kevin, but declared herself Azure's love ally instead. Leaving school, Ruby noticed Kevin's gleeful attitude and asked why he was so happy. He declared that he was home alone for the weekend, free from all responsibilities, so why wouldn't he be happy? With the heart of a true teen, Kevin announced that fast food, gaming, and late nights were on the agenda. As he exclaimed all this, Ruby texted someone quickly saying that he should head just straight home, and he did just that. As he slid into his home, he magically stripped and declared that this was the beginning of the festivities. What he didn't expect was to be greeted by Azure, wearing an apron and giving him the classic greeting with a shy expression. Blushing, Kevin shouted at Azure, wanting to know why she was here. Azure told him that she knew his bad habits, so here she is to help with that. However, Kevin just claimed that she was interrupting his fun time without a real cause. Azure, with her heart on her sleeve, said that it might be true, but she'd rather be a bother than let him get sick. As she served him food and said these sweet words, Kevin heard almost none of it as he was watching her assets. With tsundere aggression, Azure told Kevin to eat all the food that she made because she hates waste and it has her heart poured into it. After his first bite, Kevin found the food was delicious and said so, claiming that it was better than expected. Azure first got elated, but then questioned what he meant by than expected. Kevin told her that at this rate, Azure would be a great bride for someone someday. She blushed and told him not to say stuff like that with a full mouth. But this mood was ruined when Kevin added the condition that, with her being a great bride, she can only be so if the groom can dodge her punches really well. Azure ended up punching Kevin into the bath and told him that everything was ready for him. Slumped in the running bath, Kevin wore a serious expression for once, and believed that if Azure was putting this much effort into her own personal growth, then maybe he should too.